welcome to Let's Chat with your host Cynthia Stone, and today we have a very special guest. You might recognize him. He's been in the media quite a bit, although not through his own volition. This, without further ado, is Julian Katz. Now he is here. Hello, and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now he's here. You might see it on his shirt there. They're Stasis Preserves. So, now can you tell us what's been going on in the media with you recently?
Yeah, we had commissioned a ramp to be built at the front of our store to make our store accessible. And a couple of days ago, we got a notice that we were in violation of some kind of city municipal bylaws, and we were ordered to remove our ramp.
All right, and on that note, we're going to be right back with more on that story. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more. And welcome back. Now, Julian, for those of you who caught it, was just telling us about the fact there seems to be a cramp with the ramp. Do tell us more.
So we commissioned this ramp to be built by Stopgap.
Now, Stopgap is what?
Luke Anderson has a foundation called the Stopgap Foundation,
Okay.
and he is building these ramps around the city, these accessibility ramps, and they come in different sizes and shapes, and this was the first multi-step project that we had commissioned to have designed. So
Amazing.
it's a pretty cool design. It goes up at an angle, and then there's a platform, and then it turns 90 degrees, and it goes up to our stairs.
We're going to have to get a picture of that in a moment. You have one?
There's some...
Yeah,
online
there's
picture.
online. Yeah, so where can people see that?
There's a really great CBC article. If you type in Stasis Ramp, you'll be able to see a couple art
Or
pictures
they can
of the
maybe
ramp.
go to the actual...
Or come to the store.
Yeah,
We're
and
at
whereabouts are you?
We're at 476 Roncesvalles Avenue.
Okay.
Um,
So it's shaped like that, and so that actually allows for access for multiple people. So.
yeah, we've had the ramp for about 3 years now, and so we've had thousands of people safely using this ramp. We've had people in accessibility, in wheelchairs, both powered and manual, people with walkers, people using strollers. I think it really adds safety, instead of trying to get a stroller up the stairs. Our delivery drivers use it all, the people making deliveries use it all the time. Like, it's a really practical, awesome ramp.
So with such a practical, awesome ramp, why then the hurdle?
So the city has certain rules about encroachment, and so they gave us a notice, and basically they said that our ramp encroaches on city property, and it doesn't allow the right amount of distance for people to pass by. But the problem with this is that there's the AODA that's come out that's mandating that all businesses are going to have to be accessible by 2025. So we're doing our part independently by building this ramp, and yet we're being told by the city that it has to be removed. So there's a bit of a conflict between the provincial regulations and what the city is enforcing on a day-to-day.
Absolutely. It seems like one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. So on the same hand that they're actually telling you, let's get more accessible, let's be inclusive, let's have, something for everyone, at the same time, the rights are competing. So the pedestrians going through. Now, is this a really narrow pathway?
There's actually a ton of space. There's a telephone pole, and then on the other side there's even more space. I think we measured it at 3.5 meters of clear sidewalk space other than the telephone pole in the middle. So the argument that the city's making is that there needs to be clear access. For example, people with limited visibility, so that they don't bump into it. But the challenge is that by helping to protect the right of way on the sidewalk, and increasing access on the sidewalk, they're going to be completely eliminating all access to our store.
Absolutely. So that's something interesting. Now, have you heard from the community at all?
Yeah, people have been really, really outspoken. We put out a message on our Facebook page, Stasis Preserves, about the ramp, and then we put it on buns to see what we could do, because we're trying to find a solution, and we want to work with the city as best we can to find a solution that's not just immediately remove the ramp.
Yes.
And there's been such an amazing outpour from the community about this ramp, that people love it. People have called us, people have left messages at the store, people have sent me personal messages. Wow. They've written on it that on the Facebook page that they use it all the time, that they really appreciate that it's there, that they're in accessibility devices and they are happy to use it. People have written how they feel safe on it, even though the city's claiming otherwise. And it's been we've had a really amazing feedback.
Oh, that's truly, and now casting a light on this, like people are becoming aware that, this is an issue, that, you can go out there and what even prompted you to make this, to get to this point, to get a ramp?
Well, we just wanted our store to be accessible. We wanted people to have the opportunity to shop in our store if they wanted to. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, how could we hire somebody in a wheelchair if we didn't have a ramp? We felt that it was important for us to be inclusive and let people choose. Not everybody's going to shop here, but we shouldn't be limiting people just because there's a couple stairs.
Absolutely. And there it is. I mean, so you are opening your doorways, really like moving mountains, helping people to get from everywhere to come into this stasis. And now the homeostasis is being completely kiboshed. So what are the next steps? Where do you see this going?
Well, we had a meeting with a few people from the city and we were granted a 30-day extension. But that still doesn't really give us any answers to figure it out. So I think that the issues need to be escalated.
Absolutely.
Brought in front of the city council. Because I think at the core of the issue is that the bylaws don't allow for any exceptions. But at the same time, the city's going to be mandated to make the spaces accessible. So there's a conflict between the different arms of the government, and they haven't really found a solution.
No.
So instead of offering us a solution or a way to modify the ramp or give us a clear answer, they basically said, get rid of the ramp because it causes a problem, and we'll deal with it in 8 years.
Yeah.
But we're ahead of the 2025 AODA implementation, but yet we're still being penalized.
Mm-hmm. And there it is. I mean, it seems that the more you want to challenge things and make the world a more inclusive place, the more you end up with a lot of these barriers. And this is in this show and this forum and this very movement is all about breaking down barriers. So what are your thoughts? I mean, watching this, how are you feeling right now? I mean, have you heard of Stasis? Do you want to go to Stasis now? Do you feel that they should be doing this? We want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments. Let us know, because you know what? Here at the Disability Channel, we are all about featuring difference makers in the community like Julian, who is a regular individual who took it upon himself to actually open up and allow people from all over to be able to access this, place.
And we're not the only ones. I mean, we're a small independent business, but I know tons of other small restaurants and bars and cafes and places that want to have their spaces accessible as well. So they're getting stopgap to build these ramps, but they're what the foundation says, they're stopgaps. They're temporary solutions until we find out, until we come up with a clear action plan of how we're going to make all these spaces accessible. And the wall that we're hitting now is that the city has said to us, and Transportation Services has said, we're not going to grant an easement. Mm-hmm. We're not going to allow these ramps to be put on city property. So I think other people need to take this fight to City Hall. They need to talk to their city councilors. They need to figure out how it's going to be changed. There needs to be actual change, either in the municipal bylaws or the codes. Things need to. There needs to be at least some exceptions for these types of things.
Absolutely.
Because we're getting conflicting messages.
That's right. How are we going to evoke change if we're constantly being prevented? So that's the key, is to actually raise your voice, to speak to your city councilors, to actually start mobilizing to make a difference.
I mean, you could potentially even make the claim that it's a human rights violation for our ramp to be removed, because we now have an accessible space that everybody can get into, and then by removing the ramp, then we're limiting who can now access our store. And we have regular customers that use the ramp, that appreciate it. It's been safely used now for 3 years. We've had
So there have been no
thousands of people.
accidents?
Never, not even once. We had no issues or complaints about it until very recently.
And
And
so
we still
what
don't really-
prompted that?
I think there was an anonymous tip or complaint called into the city, so
Okay.
they had to investigate. But I don't. That whoever made that complaint didn't come to us. They didn't talk to us. They didn't raise their concerns to us. They just called it in. So of course the city follows their procedures, and they looked into it. And once they found the ramp, they're saying that it's not within code, and there's permit issues and municipal bylaw issues. But we understand that it's not perfect.
Yeah.
We understand that it doesn't meet the most stringent of standards, but it's a great solution that we've come up with that works, that's safe, and that fits within the space in front of our store.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing the best we can
Yeah.
with the tools that we have.
Now, when you talk about these regulations, these strict guidelines, now what are we looking at? Like when you talk about an overhang, like how much of a difference are we looking at?
Well, as far as I understand it, there's supposed to be 2.1 meters of free sidewalk access,
Yeah.
and we're encroaching on the sidewalk by about 50 centimeters, half a meter.
Okay.
So there's still lots of room for
Yeah.
2 wheelchairs to pass. There's still enough space for the street cleaner to come by or
Yeah.
the salt truck to come by. Like I don't feel like we're really impeding the traffic on the sidewalk.
So no one's been forced to go on the road?
No, absolutely not. There's 3.5
like
meters
you
of
said.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Then there's a bike lane, and then there's the road. The challenge is that the bylaws are set. They're whether they're, I don't know if they're arbitrarily set or there's certain guidelines, and those municipal codes have to apply to every circumstance
Yes.
across the city.
Yeah.
And clearly that's not an effective tool.
Yes. One
Because-
size does not fit all.
Exactly, and especially when you want to have every business accessible by 2025. There's
Yeah.
going to be all kinds of ramps in all kinds of different shapes and configurations, and there needs to be some allowances to go into city property or city sidewalk space.
Absolutely. So
I
where do
don't-
you draw the line? Do you make a mountain out of what were we talking about? Yeah, I mean, honestly, how far is too far? If we're not endangering people's lives and we're helping people, is that not the goal? 2025 is the date that they've suggested that they want all of this to come by. But if they keep blocking all of this access, is that really going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, I think that people need to talk to their city councilors. They
Yeah.
need to find out more about these encroachment issues and see what can be done. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. We're just, one business
Yeah.
on Roncesvalles. We have our little store, and we have really great customers, and we have
Yeah.
really great regulars, and we really want our space to be accessible to everybody. So,
Absolutely.
we're still waiting to see. We still don't know what's going to happen in 30 days, whether the city's going to come back and give us another notice of violation and then take our ramp and then charge us for it. We don't really have an answer, but hopefully people can, grab the torch and run with it.
And that is where we leave it. Okay, my friends? So when you are listening to this, we want to hear from you, but don't just talk to us. Don't just comment below. Like, this is really a larger issue. So if you're somebody who feels passionate about this, like we do, I mean, this is something, again, people that are mobilized, mobility issues, people with strollers, this helps everyone and anyone, right?
Yeah,
And this is something that could be potentially taken away. And we're looking at what, 20 more days?
Yeah, about that, and then we'll see what the city
20
decides
more
to do.
days.
It's not a lot of time
No.
to even get in front of council. We've been talking to our city councilor, and we haven't really heard back, and we've been trying to escalate things. So maybe it's a matter of going to the ombudsman and filing a complaint. I think there's conflicts within the codes themselves.
Yes.
So those laws need to be changed. Like the city council needs to talk about it, and I feel like that's the only way that we're gonna have an answer. And
Absolutely.
who knows if 20 days will be enough.
Yeah. What do you think? Is 20 days enough? Should they talk to their ombudsman? What should be done next? I mean, this is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Stopgap has been a great place, being able to help create these ramps. But again, it's a temporary solution. So what is a permanent solution? How did you find out about Stopgap?
I think I'd seen his ramps around Roncesvalles actually.
Yeah, right on.
And they, typically they're these small little one-step ramps that are easy to move in and out. But I presented Luke with the challenge. I said, "Can we do this? Can we make this work? How do we?" And we measured it together. And there's all kinds of crazy slopes on the sidewalk, and we really came up with an awesome design that seems to be
phenomenal.
That it's been there for 3 years and it's been working really well.
Absolutely.
And it's been safe and it's been helpful and everybody appreciates it.
Definitely.
Even some people are saying online that it's not safe because it doesn't meet code. But the codes are overbuilt. The codes are overarching rules that we should all aspire to that are probably the safest, but
utopian.
Well, I mean they're there for a reason, but we can't build a ramp to code in our space.
No.
It's just there's not enough space. There's not enough run. It's just not possible.
You have to
So
work
we're
with
doing
it
the best.
yourself.
Yeah, we're doing the best with what we have, and we don't own the building, so we can't make substantial changes to the facade or the front of the building. It's not realistic, and most small business owners don't own their buildings, especially in Toronto. So we need to come up with a solution that's affordable, that's reasonable, that gives people the options to make their businesses accessible.
Now you talk about this being affordable, so if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, I mean this was the first multi-step ramp that was built, so I think we spent about $600 for the contractor to build it, and actually Stopgap had, I think they donated their time to have this as a pilot project and to have this as a really awesome, first multi-step ramp that they had done. So
amazing.
We were really lucky in that respect, but maybe it means giving grants to small businesses to build ramps, right? Maybe it means maybe the city can come out and build them. Yeah. Because they're going to have to figure out how to implement this by 2025 anyway. Right. So it seems backwards that we're being punished now when we're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you're definitely doing a service in the sense that now you're shedding light on something that people aren't aware of. It is helping to raise that awareness. It is going to force them to look at hey, here's something that works. Here's a ton of people that are actually appreciative of the service, but one person sends in an anonymous letter. So we have to look at that, and they will have to reconcile this. And this is something that needs to be done. And this was a prototype project, This has never been done before. Not in this capacity, not in this formation.
Yeah, so I really hope that, people do use this as an example to bring this issue forward, and hopefully there will be some real change.
Absolutely. And that's all we can hope for. Change.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank you, Julian.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Absolutely. I mean, we are so appreciative of difference makers in the community that are really able to break down those barriers and become more inclusive. Now, we do want to hear from you, our viewers. We want to hear your thoughts, what should be done. How can we address this? How can we ensure that, stasis is one of many that are dealing with this kind of a crisis. So we have to really reconcile that difference. What should we do? We want to hear from you, and we want your voices heard. Don't let us be the only voices that are heard. We want this to escalate. This is all about embracing diversity and creating a better environment for all. And thank you, Julian. I mean, you've helped make the world a more inclusive place, and we hope that it continues and escalate to greater and better. Thanks for watching. And be sure to check us out on the disabilitychannel.ca. And also you're watching Facebook Live, which is fabulous. We have also on the Roku channel. And if people want to reach out to you, Julian, how do they do that?
Facebook is Stasis Preserves. Instagram is @StasisPreserves. Twitter is @StasisPreserves. And our website is stasispreserves.com.
Well, there you have it. And thank you for watching.
Hi, my name is Kim Giuliani.
My name's Steve Murray,
Hi, I'm Kathy Kennedy.
I'm a runner,
bartender.
A realtor.
I injured my elbow playing golf,
Fractured my heel.
joint discomfort from running.
The podiatrist put me in a boot cast.
given a product by my orthopedic surgeon
Tried other products before.
that didn't really work.
Didn't seem like the bone was healing very well.
They didn't provide the support that I needed.
And then I got introduced to the new bandage
The new bandage,
New bandage.
one day, and immediately when I put it on, my elbow felt better.
and it was so comfortable that it actually took the shock absorbing off my heel, even inside this cast.
The compression helped a lot with support. I was able to get through an entire 8 or 9 hour shift wearing the new bandage and not have any problems with it.
Ease of putting them on and keeping them in place was perfect. They stayed in place, they didn't move, they were comfortable, like a second skin.
A great experience for me. I felt blessed to be able to even have been able to have this product at this point in time when I really needed it.
Just provided immediate relief.
Would encourage you to try new bandage.
And welcome back. Now, wasn't that amazing? Now, here is, a guy that has really dedicated his life to making a local food mart. I mean, they support local communities. They support local food distributors, and it's really food for thought here. I mean, they're making it for a more inclusive environment. And just looking at what's happened, I mean, we are dealing with a situation here where the rhetoric doesn't meet the reality. On one hand, they want to have a more accessible place by 2025, and on the other hand, they're contesting, they're fighting, and they're making sure that these ramps that are helping so many are now going to be taken away. Does that make any sense? Now, this is something that is very close to our heart here at the Disability Channel. This is something that affects every single one of us, from mothers with strollers, to people who are visually impaired, to people with wheelchairs, mobile. Yes, you get the idea. So the idea is that we want to make for a more inclusive environment, something that's accessible for everyone. Now, Julian Katz took it upon himself to make his store, that deli, a more inclusive environment. There are so many other restaurants that want to follow suit, but will they be able to make those plans into fruition? Is this something that local store owners can do? Are we allowing for the movement to be able to be more encompassing and welcoming of all people? I raise that question to you. Right now, it would seem like no, we're not in that capacity. We're standing in their way. Not we as the Disability Channel, not we as the Facebook viewers, but in terms of if you cooperate with the evil, if you don't speak out against it, you're cooperating with it. So we're asking you, speak out. If this is something that you support and you believe in, let your voice be heard. Do we want this ramp to go away when it is helping so many people? Now, there have been a plethora of stories all across CBC, CTV, 680, 640, you name it. Now, Julian has never had so much media attention. He doesn't quite know what to do with it, but he knows that this is something very important, as do we, as do you. So whatever you do, we ask that you watch these clips. Now, you can actually check them out on the Stasis Facebook site. They have linked all of these articles, all of the videos right to it, and you can make your voice heard. You can listen to the stories. You can hear the, pros and cons. But really, how many cons are there to having an accessible ramp that is allowing so many people to be able to access a service that they may not otherwise be able to access? So we turn it over to you. Let us hear your thoughts, comment below, and please don't let this issue fall by the wayside. We need to make sure that we are moving forward. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Cynthia Stone, and you can check us out on Roku channel, thedisabilitychannel.ca, and of course our YouTube. Thanks for watching.